Grateful to be with all of you because you are all my teachers. And every day I feel this circle getting stronger. I feel that trust building up. And we're going to need that trust and that strength in the next couple days, especially when we go down that river.
Robin's been an Outward Bound instructor for several years now, but this is her first Aboriginal course. She was taken from her Cree mother in Mistassini, northern Quebec, as a baby and grew up with a non-native family in Ottawa. She left Ottawa for Colorado when she was 19 and hasn't tried to reconnect with her native family yet. Outward Bound first started offering courses to First Nations people in 1985.
Unfortunately, in 1985, being Native was kind of the in thing and hasn't changed a lot since then. And what happened was these Native students were basically went on integrated programs, all non-Native programs, so they went on 10 different courses, and it wasn't an all-Native experience. In fact, it was tokenism in 1985.
Since then, the school has done a shift in thinking, and today the all-Native courses are managed and staffed by Aboriginal people. Native programs make up only about 10% of the curriculum at this Outward Bound school, and over 350 people have completed Native courses here. This course costs about $1,200 per person, but most of these students are sponsored by private donations and foundations. It seems ironic that these programs, which are meant to build and strengthen the Native community, are being run by a non-Native organization. But Terry and her colleagues have talked a lot about this with elders and teachers in the community and have confidence in the value of their work. The key for them is to keep the courses all Native and to build in a strong cultural component. On the third day, the group stops at the school's base camp for what's supposed to be a traditional sweat lodge. But the ban on open fires is still in force. Instead, they join in a pipe ceremony with an elder from the local community.
At one time in my life, when I first came back to the culture, I honestly believed that being Native was how many eagle feathers I had, or whether I danced, or whether I had a traditional drum, how many sweat lodges I went into. But I've come to understand, and what I teach the young people today, is that coming back to your culture is a set of values, and those values being coming back to those teachings of compassion, of trusting each other, of love, of responsibility, of humility.
The few hours at base camp are a much-needed break for the crew, a chance to share some of their local traditions and to rebuild some strength for the challenges ahead.
That'll take more work.
That's great.
Dana works with Native children and families in Thunder Bay.
The feathers are supposed to mean the wind. The bead is Mother Earth. The circle here is the circle of life. I was told by my grandmother that you lay this on your tikkanoggin when you're young. Your tikkanoggin is the little cradle board. And all the bad dreams would get caught up in the webs, eh? And all the good dreams would filter through, so you'd have good dreams all the time. I think each tribe or each clan has different meanings for everything, but similar symbols.
Our paternal relatives make our regalia. Yeah. Paternal relatives in my language would be Wilkes-Witk. So my auntie made this blanket for me. But I have to pay her back in our culture. And if anybody does something for you, you always pay them back. And we call that hikailko. The males wear the black because they are the ones who are to be strong and kind of keep the clans and tribes together. And the women, when they wear these blankets, they wear the red here and the black on the borders. They wear the red because they are life givers, to remind them of that they are special. Yeah, they're important to our culture. And this is my crest, the killer whale.
Peter draws strength from his traditions and his God. Like many others, he comes from a family struggling with alcohol and has been looking after his younger brothers and sisters since he was 7. Tomorrow, in the kayak, he'll need all the strength he can gather when he finally comes face to face with his fear of the water. The next morning, before they pull out for the river, Marshall calls it quits. He just doesn't want to be here and sets off, hitchhiking, back to Sault Ste. Marie. It's a tense time. For those who remain, the next 3 days will be the most frightening and physically demanding. Between the wild waters of the river and the near vertical cliffs, even the strongest members of the group will find their nerve tested.
So you gotta make sure you have your helmet on and your skirt. This is her skirt. Skirt. And a helmet.
Everyone who's going down the rapids has to do a wet exit. That is, get out of a kayak underwater with some measure of control.
So that's what we're gonna do.
But this handle is just another thing to remember. I think that's why people
This is a whole new level of risk. Until now, the challenges of the week have been physical, but didn't seem life-threatening.
Okay? Yeah.
I thought he was doing that.
There. Good, no. I think I got it.
You don't want it uncomfortable. Looks good. Yep. If it's comfortable. Okay. How are your feet in there? Can you pull them out? Okay. So there's 2 pegs. There's 2 things like this down here. Your feet should be on them. So all you're gonna do is just tip yourself over and bring you back up. Or I can even offer that in here. That's it.
Okay, now I guess.
Whoa. You want to come back up?
Yep.
Okay.
There's like a lake where you can get back in your boat or whatever.
Oh. Are we right there?
Like they have air
Why did I get
like
I said you're scared.
like
Very.
Robin was
First time. He's shaking. I'm like, oh,
that will keep some of the water out.
The whole thing is too much for Agatha, and she refuses to try. It's been a tough few days for her. Hardly anyone here speaks her language, and she's struggling with loneliness. This is just one more thing that sets her apart.
When I said I was ready, I meant Indian time.
Yeah.
Okay, when I say adopt, we're gonna go. Adopt means go.
Okay.
In this pattern.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Now I'll just try to forget that word. Adopt.
All right.
Awesome.
That was great.
Good job.
Is it good? Yeah. I cooked it.
Are you sure you just have oats and raisins?
Just
in
oats,
there?
raisins, a little bit of sticks, some mosquitoes. And I put in one set of moose lips.
The morning brings a difficult moment of decision for Peter. If he chooses, he can ride the rapids in the relative safety of a canoe with Agatha and Terry. But he's come a long way from those fearful days at the beginning. He asks his God to protect him and decides to take his chances in the kayak.
You're so brave! I can't believe you're doing this!
About 3/4 of the way down the river, there's a chance to stop and take out. Peter, who hasn't flipped once all day, decides to end the run on a high note and hikes out with a few others.
First, I'd like to thank our creator, Gamlig Yatat, for answering mine, or rather our prayers. I'd like to thank Robin for persuading me to abort the kayak rather than the canoe. I'd like to thank everyone here for their encouragement.
I'd like to do that again. I'd love to do that again. Not tomorrow or anything, but other than that, I don't know. I think it really challenged, and I talked a lot to myself as I was going down, saying, "Oh, come on, Dana, you can do this."
Because I was sharing with the circle this morning that I was scared of being under there. And then when he asked me to hold under there and see how long I could hold out, it was kind of test my fear there. When I learned I could do it. And when I flipped on the other side in that eddy by the faucet there, I banged my head a couple times. I didn't know if you were coming or not. I said, "Where is he?" And I felt your kayak hit my arms. I was okay.
I was a bit anxious, like entering it and then going through because I haven't like mastered paddling. It's kind of stressful, right, going through. And then you guys wanted me to turn around. You want me to do what?
I was really nervous this morning. About 3 years ago, I got stuck in a hole, and since then I've had a lot of fear of the water.